like in my classroom, we set small goals that they can obtain. That way, they know that they can do something. That they feel that they have the capacity to actually make a difference and to meet their goals.
What are some goals that you do?
One that we just start with is maybe instead of just turning in their homework completed, is once a week just attempt the homework and just like to hand that in, or to attempt all the problems, even though they're not all right, they would just get a grade on handing in the sheet. Or like little things just such as coming to class with a pencil or a pen, or just little things that they can do, and then build on top of that.
Students need to know they can exceed in school.
Mhm.
That's the main goal. If they think that school is a big burden, they're never going to achieve it, they're not going to try. They're just going to give up. So it really is important to set these small goals and then keep building until you get to even bigger goals.
And I try to do that on an individual basis, because sometimes it's not enough just for the teacher, who has to worry about 25 other students just in the classroom, and probably a good 100 students throughout the school. So what I do is I'll individually meet with the teacher, like Denise, and we'll talk about goals that we want to talk about with certain students, and I'll meet with that student, and I'll be the one that kind of implements those goals. We'll talk about, okay, you know what, this week I want you to at least turn in one homework assignment and see how you do it. Just put all your energy into that. Don't worry about the other ones. And what happens is since they see some small success, kind of like what Ashley was saying, they'll see that small success and like, oh, I can succeed, I can do more. And so we slowly start scaffolding and we start building up from there and put more and more responsibility onto the students as they see more and more success in their lives.
And as a teacher, I love to hear that my social worker and one of my teachers work together, because that it creates a community. And a lot of these kids, they don't get that interaction from their family. They have to work. They take on responsibilities that other students would never take on. So that Dacus takes time to set goals. That Denise takes time to set goals. That feels great for the students, and they do really like that.
Well, how do the students work? Do they work individually, or how do they work in a classroom of other kids?
Right. One idea that I like to tell a lot of my teachers, and I'm sure that I know all my teachers use, is small group. Like I said before, they don't get the conversations with their family that other students do. So if they're exposed to other students' experiences, that's a good way for them to learn things that they're not going to be able to learn. They're not going to be able to travel. They're not going to be able to do a lot of the things that their other classmates can. So if they can get experiences from their peers, that's a great way for them to learn and start connecting and making connections in the classroom.
Another thing, it just helps with like things that we don't even think of, just like communication skills and taking on different roles and different jobs within the group. So it kind of builds their view of the world, that they know that they're not just always going to be the writer, that sometimes they'll be in charge of the group, and that helps them.
Well, what are some extras that you provide for these students in your school?
Well, one thing that we've been trying to do, we're slowly implementing, and we're pretty far advanced, but we're trying to get the free lunches or free breakfasts. Like students can show up early and they can get a free breakfast, but also during lunch period times we'll give them free lunch, because something that we found that's just so important. A lot of research shows this, is that food and nutrients like has a huge effect on a student's learning. If a student is not getting the proper nutrients, brain functions go way down. The brain function it completely slows, learning completely slows, and so they can't really take in the information that's needed to remember things. They can't make those connections. The memories aren't developed because of the low nutrients. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide kids who don't have, are not getting proper nutrients, because it really is sad. Like a lot of parents, just because of the little amount of money they make, they can't really provide food they can't give their children 3 meals a day. And if they're lucky, sometimes they'll get 1 meal a day. So we really want to give them the proper nutrients so that when they're going to school and they're going to their classes, they have the proper nutrients to stimulate brain function.
Another thing is we tried to provide materials for them in the classroom. Like I know earlier I said that they would bring a pen or pencil to class, but sometimes they don't have that. So in the classrooms, it's important to provide that, and you have to know that they might not have that, and so don't be mad when they don't show up with it. And so if you have those extra materials, you're not inhibiting their learning. Whereas if some teachers do, oh, if you don't come to class with a pencil, then you're just not writing for the day, just sit there and watch. You can't do that, because they might not be able to afford a pencil. Even like book bags and things that we just think of that you automatically have, these students don't always have in the classroom. So it's important for the classroom teacher to try and provide as much materials as they can for the students to learn.
Well, I've been hearing a lot of talk about an advisory program. Does your school implement that?
We do. We actually are big advocates for the advisory program. Overall, advisory is a set amount of time period our middle school, we have it where it's 30 minutes a day at the very beginning of the day, where it's a group of students. We try and get about 15 to 20, but sometimes it's hard to get it that small, where they meet with one teacher every day, and they talk about life skills, life goals, things in life. The whole, middle schoolers, we know that they need that guidance, and sometimes they don't have anyone to talk to about that. So we do implement a strong advisory program. I don't know if Denise, you want to talk about what you do in your advisory program?
In our classroom, we try to have professionals come in that are from the area. That way it gives them hope that they don't have to be in poverty for their entire lives, that they can become something. And then it also gives them an opportunity to see, oh, well, I liked what the lawyer had to say, or I didn't like what the doctor was, and I didn't like the police officer, but I think I like this. So it kind of gives them some career choices. And then we just talk about day-to-day activities, such as, I don't know if there's a fight on the playground one day, we might talk about that and what could have been done to avoid it, how they should react if they were put in that situation, to try and help give them some more life goals and some tools that they can use in their everyday lives.
We also try to talk a lot about diversity. A lot of people, like, the most popular topics about diversity is usually, race, ethnic background, culture, or, even religion a lot of times. But something that's really overlooked a lot of times when we talk about diversity, or the topic of diversity comes up, is social economic status. Because they do live in a very different culture.